What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some of Odell Beckham Jr.'s creative route running. So we're going to take a look at three separate routes here, one when he was on the Browns, one from the Rams, and then one from the New York Giants. So these three routes are great examples of how you guys can attack a DB's leverage, how you guys can beat an outside leverage DB when running an outside route, and how to perfect a double move. So again, hope this video helps you guys out. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to know drills that can help you to work on your route running, all broken down with video examples, sets, and reps, check out that very first link in the description below for our 28-day on-field wide receiver workout plan. It's a 4-week daily schedule with daily exercises and drills to help your route running improve. We give you all the sets and reps broken down, video examples, full speed examples of each specific drill. So check out that very first link below, fellas. Let's get started. So this first route here is going to be a comeback and go route from Odell. So this comeback and go is, it builds off of like kind of a curl and go, a stutter go, a hitch and go, all kinds of things that involve a double move. So we're going to talk about why this is such a good route. So anytime that I'm running a double move, obviously, we have to make the first move look like the actual route. That's pretty basic day one advice. Whether it's a sluggo, you got to make those 3 steps on the slant. You snap your eyes to the QB, those 3 steps that you take over the middle. Hard steps, it's got to look the same. So if I'm running a comeback and go, those like first 4 steps of that comeback, I got to try to make it look the exact same. So when Odell's running into this route, something that gets a DB to bite on a double move, like a stutter go, like a curl and go, some people run a dig and go, is that you got to have that hip drop. A lot of wide receivers, when they do any kind of double move, they won't drop low like this. They won't actually drop their butt down. Some people call it sitting in a chair. They'll just kind of chop their feet and chop their hands, beat the drum, if you will. I call it milking the cow. And that little chatter of your feet, that little chatter of your hands, maybe it sells it. Maybe that'll get a crappy DB to bite. But a good disciplined DB who is watching your hips is not going to decelerate unless we decelerate and drop my butt down and sit in the chair. Now, after this route, why this is, I think, a very, very elite route, is because we're trying to sell a comeback, right? This is. I'm assuming the Browns like to run a lot of comebacks with Odell. I've seen some in the past ran with him. If you're in an offense that likes to also run a lot of comebacks and you have this comeback and go, or a curl and go where you fake the opposite way, when you guys snap down like this, that second step of Odell, you see how it pivots, right? And so he pivots that second step because that pivot of the foot is what will get his hips to turn. And fellas, if we're trying to run a comeback, it is so important that you get your hips out of this break, down on that 45, so you could accelerate through the middle and run out of this route and make the tightest change of direction as possible. So that's second step, you being able to also drop your hips on a dime, sit into the chair to alert the DB, but you pivoting that second step and driving off of this break and getting those hips down that 45 is what is really, really going to sell this route. So fellas, if I have this comeback and go in my playbook, if I have a curl and go, dig and go, anything that I'm trying to sell other than a stop route or a hitch route where I got to drop my hips, that second step has to get your hips down the angle of the route to really sell this thing. Now, when he makes that 4th step on the break, right? So you get the snap, you got the pivot, then the last 2 steps are what really sells it. You have to make that hard cut right off the 4th step. Hips and shoulders are committed just like that. We don't get to this position without the second step, like we mentioned, that pivot step. But that's a great job by Odell selling that comeback route completely for 4 steps. Now, anytime you guys are doing a double move that involves you guys having to stop and then go, come back and go, stop and go, you got to make sure that we get separation at the break point, but I also have to keep separation. I want to make sure that I keep my head down. I want to make sure that I drive my arms, because the second that DB knows he got beat, he is in that oh shit mode where he puts his head down and he is trying to recover as fast as possible. He knows he got beat, so he's doing whatever he can to make a play on the ball. So as a wide receiver, I got separation, but let's keep separation. The QB's job is to put that ball to a spot. He's throwing it to a spot. He's not throwing it to us, and it is our job to get to that spot. So I need to make sure I keep my head down. I need to make sure I pump my arms, because you are faster like this. You don't want to come off of this double move, and then the second you feel that DB biting, you look back for the ball because you think the ball is going to be right there. The QB is going to lead you. Keep that head down, pump those arms. Let's accelerate up vertical, widen the gap so I could actually catch up and make a play and get to that landmark. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Odell selling this route. Great job taking this outside release, dropping those hips, planting this thing off, and accelerating upfield to win and finish this rep. So now, this next route here, this is going to be like on the goal line, a like 10-yard out versus outside shade, like off-man coverage, I would say. So I would say this DB's maybe about like 7 yards off. Heels are on the goal line. So one thing you need to know before I play this full speed is that this DB probably isn't going to backpedal. DBs are taught on the goal line to not backpedal. They're taught to just stay there because if they backpedal like so, you could just run a quick slant in front of him and catch the ball. It'd be too easy for an offense. So they're taught to just sit right there, heels on the goal line, and play their leverage and keep their leverage. So let's play this thing full speed. So Odell does a great job of not forcing the outside release. Takes the inside release, takes what the DB gives him, and is able to make this play at the top of the route. And so when we go off here, if a lot of receiver coaches teach that if it's an outside breaking route, like it's an out route, like it's a corner route, a comeback route, you have to take an outside release. Now, that's not 100% the case. That's not always what you want to do. Because if this DB's outside leverage, his sole purpose is to take away the outside route. He wants you to, he does not want to give up the out route. He does not want to give up the corner because he doesn't have any help over here. Where is his help? He's got help to the inside. That's his safety help. So he wants us to take an inside release and run like a post, a dig, because he can force us to his help. And he's completely fine with that. We're going to be double teamed, and that's a very, not so much double team, but it's going to be a very tight window for the QB. So as a wide receiver, when I do have that outside breaking route, if I try to force it, like let's say Odell were to come off here and just attack this guy, try to give a move inside, and then try to get to the outside release. The problem is this DB's outside shade, he will wall you to that sideline, and you will have maybe a yard to accelerate out of the break. On any outside breaking throw, fellas, the QB needs some space to lead you. Whether it's a corner against man coverage and he's putting this thing over the top, whether it is a 10-yard out and he's putting this ball in front of you, he needs some space. So if you don't create that space with your route, with your release, we can't win on the route. So Odell, he attacks him. He threatens him where he thinks this DB is going to, he doesn't want the DB, he threatens him where the DB doesn't want him to go. That's what I'm trying to say there. And so when you threaten him, that's going to get him to keep his leverage. So he might widen, you get a little bit more free of an inside release, and you could work to the top of the route. So when I work to the top of the route, two things can happen right here. My goal, obviously, on any man coverage situation is to always restack. I want to get back over the top. I want that DB to trail my hip, so I give him something like a hip shift at the top, a rocker step where I give a fake inside, and that can get him to bite. And now, because I didn't force the release, because I stayed in that straight line, I have some space to accelerate, and I have some space for the QB to lead me. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't like to teach the inside release on an out route is because when they have this outside shade coverage and you take that inside release, sometimes this DB isn't always trailing. Sometimes we can't restack. Sometimes he'll be right on my hip. So what's something I could do right there? You got to always have a plan if the DB plays it well, and that would be a throw-by move. So what Odell could have done if this DB was playing it well was have this right arm, swat this DB by on his hip or on his shoulder, and slip back underneath and run this route. But again, if you're able to restack, that's completely fine. If you're not able to restack, we just got to be able to react. That's a great job there by Odell, not forcing the outside release, knowing how to attack the outside shade of this DB, and understanding that having a high football IQ when it comes to running routes is what will get you open. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Odell attacking the outside leverage, working inside, and giving that QB plenty of space to lead him out of this route. Okay, so now, next route here. This is going to be a outside shade. This is more like zone coverage, I would say. But he's outside shade facing the QB. So this is like zone. So again, even if it's zone, it's still pretty much the same principles apply as if it was man. Okay, so this DB's outside shade. He's not going to give up the outside. This is probably like a deep third situation here, maybe cover 4, cover 3. We can't obviously see the inside of the field. But Odell has to run this like 10 to 12 yard out. So when he runs this 10 to 12 yard out, where do you think he should attack on this? He should not attack the blind spot of the DB. He should be attacking the inside shoulder, which would be the right shoulder. You would want to think of the inside shoulder as if he was facing you. So you would want to threaten him inside. Because when you threaten him inside, the goal would be to have as much space as possible to accelerate. So if you attack his inside shoulder, that can get him to open up his hips and run. That could get him to maybe bite on the inside move, and then you have plenty of space to accelerate out. So I'm going to play at full speed, then we'll talk about some mistakes that wide receivers will make on this. So Odell does a great job pushing vertical, attacking that shoulder, using that rocker step, and then being able to accelerate out on this break. So let's talk about it. A lot of wide receivers, a mistake that they'll make is anytime they see zone coverage, they think they should always run to that blind spot. Okay, this DB's in zone, he's facing the QB, maybe his eyes are on the number 2, and you have this blind spot area back here. Now, if you were to just run to this blind spot, his whole purpose being outside leverage, and how we know his outside leverage is his alignment. Odell's on the bottom of the numbers, Ramsey's maybe about a yard to the left or to the right of the bottom of the numbers. So that's how we know he's outside leverage. So if you were to just run to the blind spot, he would squeeze you. He would stack you instead of us restacking, if you will. He would keep his leverage to the outside, and you'd have maybe a yard to run this route. Fellas, we need space for that QB to lead me. That's the whole goal of any kind of route. I want to have spacing, and I want to have the timing down. So when he comes off the line and he attacks that inside shoulder, you see how that can get Ramsey to bite. Now, he's still outside leverage. He's still protecting his leverage, but at least if I were to slip under now, that QB's got some space. He can throw me open even if I am covered. Now, Odell does a great job of using this rocker step at the top. A rocker step is pretty much like on an out route. It would be like a fake post break. So you would break with the outside foot, throw to the inside, and catch yourself with the inside foot. So he's going, attacking that inside shoulder, gets the DB to flip, 1, 2. Hips and shoulders sell to the inside. It's a hard step. Everything about this looks like a post. Because again, if that DB's not looking at me, he's in zone. He's not supposed to be watching my hips. He's going off of feel. And if he can feel me run the post, if he could actually feel me take those 2 hard steps, that might get him to bite. But look at the space that I have to accelerate, and I gave that QB plenty of space to throw me open. That's a great textbook route there by Odell, running this 10-yard out versus this zone outside shade coverage. Make sure, fellas, we are not just attacking the blind spot. We are not just attacking leverage. We know how to attack the inside shoulder of that DB in that situation. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. Always great to hear from you guys as usual. And again, fellas, if you'd like a 4-week daily wide receiver route running training schedule with all the drills you need to do with sets, reps, and video examples of each drill, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.